It's come to my attention that some of you guys need help with the savings section. I wanted to touch on a couple of things about savings. The first piece that you need to know is that your savings section as a total needs to be at least 10% of your income after your taxes are figured. So you can disperse that 10% amongst any of these categories. The amount that you get in this transfer to savings, like the amount that you put into this specific section, you're going to use in the compound interest calculator. So let's say, for example, my savings account amount, 10% of my income is $200, right? Just to make it nice and easy. That's the amount that is 10% of my income after taxes. I'm going to take that $200 and spread it around. So maybe I'll put in $10 in the emergency fund and $100 into my transfer to savings, and then $90 in retirement account. So I need to do this transfer to savings because that's really the only thing that you need to do here besides put numbers into the overview page. So I'm going to open up that compound interest calculator in a separate tab. And I'm going to simply, in the yellow, put the amount that I want to put into savings. And so again, that's specifically only for this transfer to savings amount. The amounts for the emergency fund, the retirement, those are all separate. So the savings calculator, whatever number I put in here, so if it were to be 150, you'll note that this graph and the remaining information is going to change. You can of course change the number of years that you'd like to invest. Over say 40 years, you can change that. And by the way, in order to be able to use this, you may need to go up to File and then make a copy to begin with. I'm sorry, I neglected to mention that. So if you're trying this and you're not able to edit it, it's because you have to make a copy in which you can edit. I want you to leave the interest rate at 4%. I recognize that at the moment it's a little high. It's in fact very high for a savings account at the moment. Going forward, it may not be. Rates are somewhat unpredictable. So, it may end up being higher during some years and lower during others. We'll go ahead and leave that at 4%, so this way we can kind of get an idea of what an average savings interest rate is. Bear in mind that the higher the balance amount, the oftentimes the better of a rate that you're able to acquire. But right now, 4% for a savings account is almost unheard of. So I do want you to take this number with a grain of salt and understand that it's not very relevant right now to suggest 4% for savings. But we'll leave it there because over the next 30 years, or depending on the number of years you want to put this out over, maybe even more than 30, hopefully 4% will be a fair rate of return, and this will end up being just the average rate. So that's all you needed to do. You'll leave this amount for the number of deposits here a year at 12, so that you're doing this once a month, and remember your budget amount is a monthly amount. Do take notice of the differences between the ending balance and the amount that's been invested, and you'll note that early on, and you can see this reflected in the numbers, the amount of interest earned is very little at first, but this will grow over time, so that yes, you've put in at the end of say 30 years that you've deposited $54,000, but that the balance is $104,000. So I really want you to take note of the impact of compound interest. That meaning that money is sitting and earning interest year over year over year over year. And you can see this here at the top, right? The value after the 30 years would be the $104,000, and that's assuming $150. So you can put more here or less here depending, and you can see what happens if I just change it to $100. How dramatically that changes the value after 30 years. All right, good luck.